I think you're mute. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good day.
Okay. First and foremost, apologies for a bit of a hitch at the start of this meeting. Just when we were just about getting ready to start 15 minutes to time, we had a major power failure or power trick. And so we just didn't know what to do because everywhere on campus, the lights went off. But thankfully, it's come back. So we are sorry for this small hitch from the very beginning. My name is Daniel Kojo Ahimpo. I want to take this opportunity to welcome all of you. I am moderating this section with Ofusua Koilabi. And I think I would prefer for her to take you through and say a few things before I come back again. So, Ofusua, if you are there, please take over from me. But I want to take the opportunity to welcome all of you. Ofusua, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahimpo. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone, depending on where you're joining us from. A warm welcome to today's webinar. And yes, a very warm welcome. Today's webinar is a very intriguing one and first of its kind. Paternal mental health, 100 men in conversation. I'm excited, and I know everyone on this platform is also excited about it. But before we delve straight into the discussion of the day, I would like us to observe certain rules and practicalities of the webinar. Please let's ensure that our microphones are muted. And if you would want to ask a question, kindly indicate in the chat box and allow for the moderators to unmute you before you ask your question. And also the meeting is going to be recorded and available online through the APEC Ghana website and all our social media platforms. And if you would also want to ask a question or make an input, but you don't want your video to be visible, that is allowed. You can turn it off. And I would like to acknowledge the presence of our guest speaker and speakers, Dr. Eugene Doi, Mr. Derek Ella, Mr. Salim Wangabi, Mr. Clive Kwame Fusuhene, Dr. Ata Owusu Bempa, and Dr. Enim Wama. Thank you for honoring this webinar.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you very much. So this is our program outline. This is what we are going to be going through. So today is International Men's Day, and it's very important that we celebrate our wonderful men for everything, their sacrifices and their inputs, one way or the other. And so the whole essence of today's webinar is to appreciate and salute the sacrifices of our men in society and when it comes to family as well. So paternal, next slide, please.
Oh, the one before this.
The introduction, yes.
Introduction, the next one. The one.
Yes, please. Yes, thank you. So this is a very interesting topic because it is something that is not spoken about very much in our society, or generally, if I should say. Paternal mental health is critical, but often overlooked. It's an aspect that is overlooked most often than not. And fathers play a critical role as caregivers and support systems. They also have their unique experiences when it comes to pressures that they face during pregnancy, childbirth, and early parenthood. But cultural norms and then societal stigma prevents them from seeking help or from speaking up, especially in our setting here in Africa. And also in Ghana, conversations around mental health frequently, if we are to be honest, most often than not excludes men, despite the evidence linking paternal well-being to positive outcomes for both men and women. So our theme, next slide please, our theme is breaking the stigma and empowering fathers to strengthen families and improve maternal and newborn health outcomes. So the whole purpose of this webinar is for us to discuss some of the stigmas that our men face and some of the things that they are doing that is positive, and to empower them, and also to strengthen them to keep doing what they are doing to support our maternal health issues and cases. So this is our objective, to promote the awareness of paternal mental health challenges and their impact on families and in society. Also to encourage open conversations among men about their mental well-being during pregnancy and early parenthood, and to provide tools and resources for fathers to manage stress and support their families. And most importantly, to reduce societal stigma around men's mental health and encourage help-seeking behavior. So this is the purpose of our meeting today. And the next one shows our expected outcomes. The next slide shows our expected outcomes. So a quick one, just to engage everyone. Please, would like to know where you are joining us from, what country you are joining us from, your name, and what country you are joining us from. Please put everything in the chat box. And also, we'd like our men on the call to share a word, it can be a word, an object, or a color that represents how fatherhood feels, and what you are hoping to learn today. And also, there were some questionnaire that was shared earlier on. I don't know if each of us have had the opportunity to fill it, but if not, the link will be put in the chat box and then you can fill it at your convenience. And also after the webinar, there would be another questionnaire for you to fill. So we can start inputting our answers in the chat box with the icebreaker. Or we can have one or two of you, share with us where you're joining us from and what word, object, or color represents fatherhood for you and what you're hoping to learn today. Anyone? Anyone to set the ball rolling, please?
Hi.
Hi, Enoch.
Fantastic. Where are you joining us from? Town, region, country. I'm joining from Accra, Greater Accra, Ghana. Share a word, object, or color in the chat that represents how fatherhood feels. Okay, I'll do that. But I'm an incoming father, and I'm just looking forward to it. I'm really excited about the journey. What am I hoping to learn here today? I believe that there are many things that we don't know, even things we've heard, but I believe hearing from the panel and the guest speaker, it will be a blessing to pick a thing or two about pre-eclampsia. Yeah. Have you completed the pre-webinar questionnaire? I filled like 2 or 3 questions. I don't know if it's part of it, but I'll just click the link and be sure that it's the questionnaire you're asking for. So that's that for me. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Enoch. Thank you. And thank you for taking the bold step to join this webinar, even though you're an incoming father. So you're one step ahead. Anyone else?
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I'm also happy to be here. Where I'm joining from northern region, Tamale specifically, in Ghana. Share a word or object or color, which I'll be doing so soon. What are you hoping to learn today? Well, I was very happy to learn from all the panelists on its importance of being a father, the need and why we should always communicate or talk about mental health. As the saying goes, there is no health without mental health. So I just want to learn more and more. And then, have you completed a pre-webinar? Yes, I have done that, I think some weeks ago. Yes, so all in all, I'm happy to be here and thanks for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you too. Honored to have you. I would like to read something from the chat. We have, pardon me if I'm not able to pronounce anymore, Bridget de Kock, social science researcher.
Brescia de Kock.
Oh, thank you so much, Doc, for that. Brescia de Kock. She's a social science researcher and mother, joining us from Muiden, Netherlands. And she is keen to learning a lot about what people think leads to paternal mental health problems. Thank you. Okay, so thank you. Please keep them coming.
I would also like
Keep
to.
them coming.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, hello everyone once again, and my name is Koiwa Koilabi, the Executive Director of Action on Preeclampsia Ghana. I am joining you from Accra, specifically the campus of Ghana School of Law. Share a word that in the chat represents how fatherhood feels. Well, I'm not a father, but I'm a mother, so I can think of the word stressful. What am I hoping to hear today? Well, I'm curious to hear from our speakers as well, our keynote speaker and our panelists and all the discussions that will go on. And indeed, the pre-webinar questionnaire, I'm on it. But just to say thank you to everyone who is joining us today. And I
Hello, Koiwa, please, we can't hear you. Okay. I think Koiwa has a little of issues with her where she is. So without much ado, I would hand over to Dr. Ahenfo to kickstart the discussion. Thank you. Dr. Ahenfo, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I was just asking him to go to the next slide. So,
Yes.
yeah. So, thank you very much, Usua, and thanks to everybody who has made his or her voice heard. Hopefully, we are going to have a very exciting and interactive session. So, at this stage, we are moving to the next segment, which is a story of hope. And we are privileged and honored to have Mr. Derek Ella, who is a father who is going to tell us a personal story of how active paternal involvement make a positive impact on maternal health and family life. And this humanizes the discussion and adds some emotional depth to what we are here for. Just for purposes of introduction, Derek is a visionary entrepreneur and businessman with a passion for innovation and excellence. He's the founder and creative director of Opulence Style, a leading necktie manufacturing company in Ghana. I'm looking forward to having one of those very soon. He specializes in crafting high-quality ties for institutions, including business, banks, and schools that incorporate neckties as part of their uniforms. He's a family man and a father of one. So without much ado, we'll hand over to Derek, and that in the next 10 minutes, we'll hear the story of a personal story of Derek of how active paternal involvement has made a positive impact on maternal health and family life. So Derek, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for your kind introduction, Mr. Moderator. I hope you're all doing well. I'm excited to be part of this conversation, but let me be quick to use the opportunity again to celebrate all men. I mean, if you're a man and you're on this platform, know that you are doing well. I'd like to celebrate you on this special occasion of International Men's Day. Unfortunately, I mean, if not for Kwewa and the team, I'm not sure any of us would have known that today was International Men's Day or is International Men's Day. Usually, if it's for the women, I mean, you see all kinds of program around and all of that. And this is where I feel like sometimes men are left to their faith, you know, to figure things out themselves. So this is just by the way, but also to create awareness that we hope to see some of these celebrations often, so that we feel appreciated to do more for our families and our society. So once again, if you're a man, just know that you are doing well. All right, so for me, it was an experience I was looking forward to, honestly, and I feel blessed to also be considered as a father, especially in the context in which we find ourselves in. I mean, if you're a young man and you are growing, you have a family, you are married, you're working, and the baby is not coming, we all know how it feels like. You know, you have family members raising eyebrow, you know, church members, people asking questions and all of that. So I count myself blessed, I mean, to be considered or to have a baby, a beautiful baby girl. And she's really changed my life, honestly. And before the journey, before she was delivered, obviously, I mean, there were things I didn't know. I mean, as a man, I spent 21 years of my life staying with my mom. I never had the opportunity to live under the same roof with both parents. Many things I didn't see my father do for my mom. So I didn't know a lot of things genuinely. So all I had to do to play that role and to be there for my wife was things I've seen on telly, in movies. You know, when I visit my friends, I see how their fathers treat their mom. I mean, whether they were pregnant or not. I read online. So those moments were how I was able to support my wife during the journey. It wasn't easy, honestly. A lot of things I didn't know. And in as much as it was one of my most exciting journey, it was also one of the most lonely. I don't know if there's a word like that. It was also one of the most lonely moments. I'll share that later. But, you know, prior to the journey or during the journey, the pregnancy journey, for a man, people don't really care about you, I think, because all they care about making sure that you are there for the woman, because they focus on the woman. Usually, it is said that because you are not the one carrying the baby, your stress is not considered. I mean, let me just say that, because everybody focuses on the woman. And I mean, these are very genuine, you know, intent or support towards the woman, because whether I like it or not, she is at risk. You know, someone said pregnancy is now a money decision or a financial decision. You know, unlike how it used to be in the past, where at a certain age you can just get up and give birth, and because you have your family members, your aunties, your mothers, they would help you take care of the child. But right now, even before that, you have to make sure you have money, you know. So we didn't know that, some of us didn't know that you needed to have a lot of money. Even if you had a lot of money, it still wasn't enough. If you're making money before the child came, it was for you and your partner. But now you need to have extra income and all of that. So you have to do so many things, get extra jobs, you know, put in a lot of work to be able to raise enough, because at every point in time, when you are called upon, you're able to provide. Now, usually during that period, it's also used as a measure for you to know whether you are a man. You know, these days said that if you want to know the true value of a man, it's how deep the man's pocket is. So if you don't have money, you are not working, you can be the nicest man, you can show all the love, you can show all the care, you can be the sweetest. But if you are not bringing out money, forget it. You know, so these were things we had to learn along the line. Fast forward, even when the baby came, again, the focus was only on the woman. Because now if everybody comes, I believe, or sometimes I feel the only question you're asked is, how do you feel being a father now? Once that question is asked, that's it. Any other question doesn't matter. Every other question of concern is usually towards the woman. Because now, it depends on what type of delivery, whether by natural or by, CS. So the focus really on her. She has to heal. The baby, if family members come, it's always about the woman. So that is where you, the man, you have to find a way to, figure things out, in terms of finding how to get your emotional support, getting friends around you or being the right company to help you. Otherwise, if you don't take it, you lose it. Because like at that point, you have to be the problem solver. Whenever money is needed, whatever anything is needed, they're going to call on you. Usually, people don't normally ask you, Derek, how are you doing? Or if you're the man, people don't normally ask you how you're faring, are you okay and all of that. At that point, anytime you are needed, anytime there's a problem, just know that it's coming to you. Those of us who are on this platform and are married, I don't know how you feel when you have a family, you have a child, and you are from work and you're going home and you don't have money. There's one prayer you are praying. You are just praying that nothing should come up while you are going home. Because the moment you get home, anything at all can happen. They need money for this, they need money for that, you need all of those things and all of that. And at that point, nobody cares. So you have to provide. Because that is when you are considered, or that's when they will know whether you're a man or not. So I'm happy that this conversation is being had and we're having this conversation, because in doing this, we are creating awareness, and gradually people will begin to pay attention to men during times like that. I'm not saying that the same attention that's given to women during times like that should be given to men. I'm not saying that, obviously. But I think that's also important that men are also looked at, men are also considered, because whether I like it or not, they are like the engine of the family. If the man is not in the right mental state, he will not be able to provide for the family. So I believe that this is a good move, and I hope that moving forward, more of these awareness will be created. I don't want to share too much because I believe that there's going to be conversations where other things will come up. But for me, it's been an exciting journey. I think I'm a new person now. It's made me become more aware of myself, even how I carry myself out in public. Because now, you have a child, you have somebody looking up to you, you want to be responsible. You don't want to be like other men. You don't want to be like other men. So whatever you do outside, you are careful. You are very, very careful. And for me, these are some of the positives that have come to me. And you also want to be a good example for your children. For me, it's my greatest desire to be, I think I'll be jealous when my child or any of my children come to me and they tell me that their mentor is another man or their role model is another man. I would want everything to come to me. I would be happy if ever my children grow up and all they say is that my dad is my role model and my dad is my mentor. So I think this has been my experience so far, and I'm happy, I'm learning, and I'm looking forward to creating more memories with my family and making the right impact for them to become better people. So I think basically that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Derek. That is a very interesting story and encouraging story. And you said it so well that you never got opportunity to learn from learn fatherhood from home, and that you had to look elsewhere when the time came. But nevertheless, you have learned, and you have learned, and also feel so proud to be seen as somebody who is also involved as far as the bringing up, taking care of the home and bringing up, being part of the story of maternal, paternal care or family life is, because that gives you a lot of satisfaction, and that has made you more aware of yourself. Thank you very much. We hope your story will continue to encourage and motivate others to also see a role as far as this is concerned. But the challenges we face this side is it's not, I don't know, that is what society has made it. So sometimes they want you to be involved up to a certain point, and at a certain critical point where you think you want to be involved, like even going to the delivery room, they will say no, stay away. We haven't reached there yet, but hopefully this conversation will help drive things so for us to move forward. Thank you very much. So for your story, we would, in the interest of time, and especially because of the time we lost at the beginning, we'll move to the other important part, which is the keynote. And we are very privileged this evening to hear no other person than the acting CEO of the Mental Health Authority, Dr. Eugene Kobla-Dodoy, to tell us about fatherhood as a foundation for family life. Just for the records, Dr. Dodoy is the acting CEO of Mental Health Authority, a consultant psychiatrist and senior lecturer. He has served in leadership roles across Ghana's psychiatric hospitals, including Ankapo, and has also trained several generations of mental health professionals through UCC, UHAS, where he was the head of departments, as well as the Central University. With more than a decade of clinical, academic, and advocacy experience, he's now leading a mental health agenda focused on universal primary mental health, telepsychiatry, expansion, and comprehensive workforce training. Key pillars of Ghana's roadmap to achieving universal health coverage and the sustainable development goals. So, Dr. Eugene Kobla-Dodoy, we are privileged to have you. This is your audience. We are all ears to listen to you on fatherhood as a foundation for family health.
Thank you very much. And I find this very interesting because I probably am more confused than my audience as to which aspect I should talk of. I look at the questionnaire and I was supposed to choose a place where you are either a husband or a partner, and I'm both. You are either a father or you are a health worker. I say, they actually describe everything I am and ask me to choose one of them. So I know it is an anonymous questionnaire, but I'll tell you what I answered. I put everything there because I am a husband, I am a father, I am a son, I am uncle, I am nephew, I am a health worker, I am mentor to other people have mentored me, and everything between 0 to up. So I am everything when we come to fatherhood, manhood. I would say by God's grace, I've been blessed to have that. I've been a doctor for 21 years, the past 20 years in mental health, the past 15 years teaching mental health. And I might say there is this, they say about men, that all the problems about men is, from the woman. So BP, they say, oh, so it is either the bra or the pants. So the men take all the P's. So what you realize is that men are largely, we are the P's that society expects us to have. That is, we are supposed to be the protectors, we are supposed to be the providers, we are supposed to be the problem solvers. And these are the things that bring us the pressure. So many men will have a lot of stress, a lot of pressure that they have to carry, and when men have to console other people and they themselves are emotionally drained. Nobody asks the man, so how are you coping? Because you're supposed to be a man and you're supposed to live with it. So for us in mental health, we realize that before men seek attention, before men seek care, unfortunately, they present a bit too late. They will present quietly with something that you have to probe and dig it up yourself. I mean, they come when they are virtually at the tipping point, at the breaking point, you know. And sometimes we refuse to see the challenges that men go through. Let me just give one example. There was last week or a week before, unfortunate incident of a man killing the wife and children and all that. And it was clear this man was known to mental health, was known to the judicial system. And I mean, throughout the story, I didn't hear anybody talk about alcohol or drug abuse. But commonly, when men face emotional challenges, they solve their problem by abusing alcohol, by abusing drugs. The reason I bring up the alcohol for that particular case was that the man was said to be jealous of the wife and trying to track whether the wife was being unfaithful. And that is, for those who read Shakespeare, we call it Othello's syndrome in Shakespeare's, books. So Othello's syndrome is a condition where men commonly become pathologically jealous of their partners, usually caused by drinking of excessive alcohol. So alcohol, which may give you an initial euphoria because the man wants to drink off his problems, in the long run will make a man depressed. In the long run may make a man so jealous that they would want to harm their partners, thinking they have been unfaithful to them. And all these come about because of alcohol use. I would say it's not all gloom, even though it can be very stressful. But I mean, fatherhood is also beautiful, I must admit. And for those who probably know my family, I'm sure if you talk to my kids, they will tell you that there is everything in fatherhood and it's so beautiful. I mean, there is really nothing you can get to replace having your children, having your partner, all believing in you, and I mean, coming around you, wanting to spend time with you, wanting to hear you. You know, the former US president, I think he lost his wife recently, George Bush the first. They asked him what is his greatest achievement in life. And everybody was expecting that he became the US president and my son also became a president. They asked him about it and he said, for the greatest achievement for him is that his children, which includes the president, they still come home. Meaning they still see him as a father. Even though the son was a US president, the son still comes back to him, come home, because he has a father there. So fatherhood can be nice, it can be sweet. Like I said, it comes with a lot of stress as well. So when we get the other aspect, let's cherish it. Let's cherish those moments and make the best out of them. Because it will come with all the economic pressures. Your kids have to go to school. You have to pay school fees, and nobody cares what is going on in your life. The fees has to be paid. Otherwise, we send the child back home to you. There are definitely going to be relationship stresses. I mean, people, they say in Akan that even though the teeth and the tongue, they live in the same mouth, they still fight. And that is why sometimes you can bite your tongue. So there's no way you can live with somebody who has a different background from yours and the two of you can agree on everything. It is impossible. So definitely you are going to have some disagreements and some fight or quarrels and all that. And for many fathers, when they cannot see any headway through, like I said, they turn to drugs. And sometimes they get sleep deprivation because you think you can stay all night and think of a solution. And when you deprive yourself of sleep, the following day, you become very dull and you become least productive, worsening or going down, spiraling down a vicious cycle. There may be social isolation because when a man fails, nobody, cares about him. As they say, failure is an orphan. Success has got many fathers. And this is said, but it happens most to men because many men then fear being a failure. And because of that, they might not want to achieve, they might not want to dare. Yet when you don't dare, you don't achieve much. And it's very important we see this, that yes, fatherhood is beautiful, being a husband is beautiful and all that, but it comes with its pressure. I would want to maybe conclude and say that yes, to my brothers, to my uncles, to my fathers, to my sons and my nephews, okay? I just want them to appreciate the fact that being vulnerable is not a sign of weakness. So being vulnerable and sharing that vulnerability doesn't mean you are weak. In fact, it actually shows you are strong because it is when you know that this, what I'm going through will break any man. So if I'm shedding tears now, it is because what I'm going through is extreme. So we don't have to hide it and we don't have to show your vulnerability or weaknesses. In fact, it is a sign of strength. It's a sign of courage. It's a sign of wisdom. It's a sign of leadership. So there's no reason for any man to suffer silently. There's strength when you speak early, we can intervene. There's strength when you speak boldly. We know what you are thinking and what exactly you are going through. And there's no shame, absolutely no shame in seeking help. So, and this discussion, I hope, will bring out the fact that we will know that men are not emotionally stoic. We have emotional intelligence. It doesn't mean we are stoic. It also means that, we may be having a lot on our head, but we know when to share the load as well. We may be going through a lot of pain, but would know when and how safely to express the pain. When men are going through their challenges at the church, at home, at workplace, a difficult boss, family. And family can be more challenging, especially we have kids who do not listen to your word and you think these kids are going wayward. That is more challenging for any father than anything. So it is very, very important as a people to have this discussion openly so that we listen to men without judgment. We have to create that enabling environment, that space for men, for fathers, for husbands to heal. We need to build that culture where a man can freely say, Charlie, I'm really struggling. I'm going through hell. And then we can reply to the same man and say, don't worry, tap him at the shoulder. We are here to help. without judging him. So it is up to us to open this discussion, to make time to understand that men do have emotions. And probably let me just say something about Derek, what he said. Derek gave such a wonderful opener, and he said that, oh, I'm not asking that men should be given the same attention as women. Derek, why do you apologize for men if we need the same attention? If we need the same amount of attention, we do, because we are humans. There are some women who can stand those pain more than men. There are some men who are far more emotional than women. So if a man does need that attention, that emotional environment to express, sure, if it's even more than what the woman needs, we will give it. Because the man is also human, and the man is just different from a woman who has all the emotions, but society has, I mean, as if malehood is born with some stoicism and you are supposed to be strong and steady. But no, we are not. We are humans, and we deserve that comfort, that encouragement, that asking how we are doing. Thank you very much. Over.
Thank you, Dr. Kobla. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kobla, for that. That was very deep. I picked one of the key insights. We should listen to men without judgment and create the space for them to speak up and engage. Thank you very much. At this juncture, we've entered the important part, which is a Q&A session. And at this point, I'm going to ask some questions together with my moderator, Dr. Henfo. And then after that, we would open the floor for a few more questions from our participants. So we have a question assigned to every panelist speaker. So I would give the opportunity to Mr. Clive Kwame Fusuhene. And my question, or our question to you, Mr. Clive, is how are modern fathers, considering men as caregivers, how are modern fathers changing caregiving roles at home in recent times, and thereby challenging the traditional gender norms within the family?
Okay. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can.
Yeah, so I really love this particular conversation that is going on. And I also want to congratulate all men for the world to recognize our inputs. Because sometimes, like Derek and Doctor said, this is something that is rarely heard in our conversations regarding mental health. Normally, we speak about these things in the context of people who have already been abusing themselves, like Doctor said, but practically and privately, a lot of men go through a lot in societies and in the kind of things that we faced. We are faced with so many things that battles our mental health. So for me, I'm going to speak from the point of my experience as a father of 4 children. And traditional system has made us believe that men, we are not supposed to talk. We are not supposed to share our emotions. And we are not supposed to show our vulnerabilities, like Doctor said. But I quite remember when my wife was going to give birth to our first son. That was the first time I've heard of when we went to the hospital she wasn't feeling well. I didn't even know whether it was pregnancy or not. So when I went and the doctor said, "Oh, your wife is pregnant. So get ready, prepare." And the moment the doctor said that, immediately my mood changed. And sometimes, even though it looks happy, but the mood changed because I felt that there was a need for me to now change my position as a dad or as a father to more like a servanthood position, because that is how, fortunately, my dad has been training us. So the doctor said, "Oh, for the next 3 months or the next 6 months, make sure your wife doesn't do these jobs, your wife doesn't do that and that." And my wife, as I know, definitely for once will say, "Okay, now, doctor, you have said it. So as we go home, you're going to take over and do this and that." So immediately it conflicted with a lot of my activities. So I was thinking of, how am I going to combine all this pressure on my head as a man, and then coming home to also make sure that, because we're living alone, coming home to make sure that I have to partake in helping her to be able to nurture the baby and all that. So I took predominantly part in making sure that if there is a need for her to cook and she's not able to do it, I have to be able to do the cooking myself. I took part in the fact that I have to start making sure, washing, cleaning, laying of beds, and also making sure she takes her drugs and all that. And sometimes, as the pregnancy was also growing, there was that connection between me and her. And there was that fear because there were some complications I was being announced by the doctor. So anytime you go out to work and you see a telephone call, my heart beats. It's like, hey, what is happening? Is there a need for me to go out there? So I have to always be on the alert, right from the doctor's signal from day 1 to the 9th month. Predominantly, I was around. So what I did, the decision I did was the fact that this thing was toughness. For the fact that for the first time, you've never done any of these things before, and then you put yourself in a position where you are supposed to play a dual role. And sometimes they say women have they think with both sides of the brain, so they're able to take the responsibilities as playing 2 things at a time. But I realized that even though I was a man at that time, I was able to play dual role at a time, because sometimes I'll be cooking, sometimes at the same time, I'll be making sure water is in the bathroom. I was making sure the bed is clean. I was making sure the baby and all the things that comes along with it is done. So I believe for now, the society has now changed a bit, because I go to schools and I see a lot of my colleagues taking the role of going for PTA meetings. And predominantly, you go for PTA meetings and you see that majority are men. They are not even women. And that should inform our society that at least there's a shift in the way men are seen these days. So for me, I believe that the traditional norm where we have to be stoic, where you have to be more fearful, and your children are supposed to be afraid of you, you don't speak, you don't talk. During the pregnancy, I remember I have to speak to the doctor and told me, like, listen, when the baby wakes up, you have to wake your wife up and feed the baby every 1 hour, I think 1 hour, 30 minutes or so. And that was also stressful, because when I go to work, I'll be sleeping and I feel so tired. And they will call you, come back home. There's an emergency, buy this thing when we are coming. So all this mental toughness, and sometimes financially draining, especially when it comes to a point where there is no money, and you have to also make sure that the safety of your wife and your kid at that point is also intact. So all these things comes to play. And I believe that it takes a little bit of understanding of what a woman is carrying, and the fact that you also need to be there to be able to protect her, and to be sure that at least for the first time as a man, you put yourself in that role just to also learn, because sometimes it's difficult. You have not changed diapers before and you're changing it for the first time. Sometimes men, sometimes we are so a little bit, start, you call the woman, the baby has messed himself, I'll come and change the diapers. But because fortunately I had a father who was always pressing on us, I have to be changing diapers, bathing the babies, even up to the point the boy was even up to 6, 3, 4 years. I'll be the one always making sure that I have to go and pick them from school, go from the office, take some time, go and pick them from school, and then send them home and send them to school in the morning. So all these things, I believe, has been one of the changes that I've seen, that for me as a man, it has really challenged the traditional norms. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clive. That was very interesting. And I agree and would want to reiterate that in recent times, our men are doing very well in attending PTA meetings, changing diapers. It wasn't the norm before. So kudos to our men. Before I continue to ask the questions, I would want every panelist speaker to know that they have 3 to 5 minutes to answer a question. Thank you very much. So my follow-up or my question will now be to Mr. Derek Ella, my husband. I would want to know, Mr. Derek Ella, how do you think societal expectations of being a man affect how fathers, and for that matter, men in general, show and manage their emotional challenges of fatherhood?
All right, thank you very much for your question. And thank you, Mr. Clive, for your contribution. That was spot on. So for me, I think that societal expectations already are distraction to modern man, quote unquote, because that's where the conversation is. When you look at the kind of expectations society have of us women now, I mean, it's stressful. Let me just say that it's stressful. So for me, what I've realized over the time is that it boils down to you and your partner. And also the fact that, every relationship is unique. I mean, for society, for the expectations, it cuts across. It's standard for everyone, but it doesn't mean that it applies to every relationship. So both of you have to find a way to define the kind of relationship you have, or agree on whatever it is that you have, and then know what steps to take that would suit you. So usually for me, it's just focus on the kind of relationship I have with my partner and what will best work for us. Because whether you like it or not, no matter what, you can never meet societal expectations. Because some of them don't even, some of them are not relevant to your current context. So for example, it's expected that, men are not supposed to go to the kitchen, maybe before, but in recent time it's changing. Even when you look at orientation, how we're all brought up, when you have two children in a home, a boy and a girl, you realize that usually the ladies are prepared for marriage. Right when, she's very young, she's taught how to go to the kitchen to prepare food, set table and all of that. For the man, for the boy, nobody cares about the boy. They don't even teach the boy how to, treat a lady, how to protect your sister when you go to school and, nothing. So the boy has to grow up, and then figure things out himself. If you're fortunate enough to find yourself in a space where, you have men in your life who direct you as you grow, then that's it, But usually it's not the case, So this is where sometimes the challenge is. So usually for me, I make sure I focus on what I have, my relationship, and then whatever it is that I'm agreeing on with my partner, we agree on and see what best step would help us, to make our marriage better. For me, that's it. But as to what society thinks, and also come as a result of growth. At some point, you are worried about the decisions you make and what society think about the decision. For example, even taking your child to a certain school, you know that your neighbors, your friends, your network take their children to a certain school, but maybe you want to do your thing very differently. Maybe at age 1, at age 2, the child should be going to school, but in your mind, you want to take your child at age 3 or maybe 6 months. These are things sometimes you have to be deliberate to overlook so that you don't take certain decisions that may affect your marriage or what you have. So I think basically that's it. Right?
Thank you very much, Mr. Derek Ella. He mentioned a vital point, focus. Thank you. So my next question will be to Dr. Kwame Boama. Dr. Kwame, if you can hear me, which I believe you can, my question would be, postpartum depression is often associated with only mothers or women, but research shows that fathers can also experience it. So we would want to, hear your expertise as to how we can raise awareness and encourage the early help for fathers with postpartum depression? Dr. Boama, are you on the call? Please, can you hear me? Okay, Dr. Owusu Bempa, please, if you're on the call, could you kindly help us with this question?
Yeah, good evening to everyone. And I must say, this has been a very interesting dialogue. And all the issues that have come up are issues that ordinarily you will not hear men voicing these things out. So I'm very happy we have this platform to do justice to that. So what I would say is that, so there are a lot of evidence, as you rightly mentioned, that women seem to have more cases of postpartum depression, and the ratio is quoted as being 2 to 1. So if the proportion or the prevalence is 20% in women, then it's about 10% in fathers. And the reason why somebody cannot say that is probably the fact that the man is a person and not because the man is a father. That's why there is further evidence to show that of men of the same age, that's in reproductive years, when you take men who are into fatherhood, the proportion is 10%, whereas when you take men of the same reproductive age who are not fathers, the proportion of depression is 5%. So that's to say that fatherhood is actually a risk factor for men developing depression. And this because a lot of the time it's been emphasized over and over again that struggles, challenges that men face during pregnancy, delivery, and fatherhood or parenthood are overlooked. And some of these could be because the men will be having issues with balancing their work life and also how they take care of or they contribute to fatherhood or parenting. And then another thing will be because there's so much lack of information during the pregnancy and especially delivery. And I've seen a lot of fathers who even come to labor ward smelling of alcohol. And you ask them and say, doctor, it's not easy. And at times you realize it's because they are not being updated. They are not being provided with information. So I think one speaker raised this issue that we are not there yet, but I think we have to make the effort to get there, where fathers can join their spouses in the labor and delivery rooms. Because once they know what is going on, I think it will put them at ease. So it's true that we said 90% will not develop depression, but 10% will, and they will develop it because of maladaptation to these stresses or challenges that they face. So for those who are able to cope well, they are the ones that will not develop it. And even though it's in the majority, 10%, that's 1 out of 10. It's a lot. So as we said, the first thing is the awareness creation so that men should know that they should embrace their vulnerability. I mean, it doesn't show weakness when you are being honest and tell people about difficulties, because that will help you then, once you accept it, to then put measures in place or put mechanisms in place to adapt. And I was so happy when Derek said in his opening comment that he's now a new person. So believe me, if you are married, you don't have children yet, or your wife is not pregnant, as the pregnancy comes and progresses, you should make some adaptations. And that should really change you to be a new person. And that is just because of adaptation or adjustment, which is good for you to be able to cope with all these challenges. So the reason why we would seem to think that men do not suffer depression, because I said it's 2 to 1. So if you have 2 women suffering depression, it means that you have one man also suffering it. It's all because people will not come out to talk of their problems. And also because manifestation of depression in men will be quite different. Whereas women will be sad, will be crying. Men are taught to be stoic, as we said. So they would rather express it in aggression, anger, and then you may mistaken it for a different thing. So I think it's a problem which is also found in men, and it's good we are raising this awareness, and I hope it will not end here, and we'll continue to do that so that men will be more comfortable once we create a nice environment for them to be able to seek help. And again, family members should also be able to detect signs of depression in men so that they can also help to guide them to seek experts' help. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bempa. Thank you. This is very insightful. I personally didn't even know that men also go through postpartum depression. So I've learned something, or I've picked something from here. And a key insight I want to stress on is that vulnerability is not a weakness. So my follow-up question will be to Dr. Boamwa. Dr. Boamwa, we would want to know how, as partners, as families, as communities, how we can recognize, first of all, this depression in the men, and how we can, provide the necessary support or resources.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that to start with, probably, from what our speaker, the first, the father of one said, it's important for us to prepare for childbearing, especially as men and as fathers, so that with that kind of mindset to go in, that we are partners with our wives or with our mothers in child rearing or bearing, it helps quite a great deal, so that the whole experience does not come to us as, let's say, a surprise or a shock. For example, I decided that, look, when my wife delivers, I'm going to be there. There is no need for her to go and stay with somebody or somebody coming to stay with us. So throughout, I prepared myself that we'll all do the waking up, we'll all do the breastfeeding, we'll all do this. So that helps a great deal to prepare yourself. And that preparation helps you to be able to cope with the stresses that come with the fatherhood. Having said that, it's important for us to recognize, as we are learning today, and we've known that fathers go through some form of stresses and depression. When it comes to childbearing, it's not just about the women. So once we know that, it's important to look out for the men and to encourage the men, starting with paternity leave. It's also important that at various discussions at the workplace, in our church, society groups, we need to talk about parenting, and we need to talk about fatherhood, not just for women, but also for men, to recognize the difficulties and the challenges that we go through, so that it's not like, as it were, a hidden problem. In fact, even coping, there are times when there is even jealousy in terms of the baby coming in. The wife is now giving more attention to the baby. The man is now jealous of the baby because there's no much attention to them. So a whole lot of things go on that I think that public education will be important, education in various groups, discussions, and with that, we should be able to help. And if the depression is that severe, then of course we need to refer them to see the clinical psychologists or mental health practitioners for the necessary counseling and help. Also, counselors in our various churches and other places would also be of help when it comes to that. And it's one of the things that probably we don't talk about when it comes to men's mental health and the challenges that comes with, especially having children, and especially for new fathers. I mean, from where we sit as obstetricians, some of them come and you could actually see the confusion on their faces. I mean, it's a whole new experience, and what the woman is going through, they don't understand it directly, but there's a lot of rights. And I think that with education, we should be able to do quite a good job. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. Thank you for that. Thank you for those practical steps. I believe that moving forward after this webinar, this is something that we all do in our various small ways, be it in our homes, our workplaces, start to create the awareness. And also we can join some groups. I mean, this webinar is in partnership, APEC is in partnership with Modern Man Club. So you can join such groups to, voice out how you're feeling as a man at any point in time. So my next question will be to Dr. Salim Wangabi. So how, first and foremost, Dr. Salim, would want to know, it's because of how society has, should I say, wired the men's mentality. It's 1 in 10 men that usually would open up. So even if we are to start creating, that environment or that atmosphere, first and foremost, how do we redefine their strength so that vulnerability and openness becomes part of that definition? Dr. Salim, over to you.
Good evening, Fosua, and good evening to all our listeners and to all speakers and panelists. I think this has been a great presentation so far. I've been following keenly, and it's really, really interesting and great that we hear men share their experience and everything. And the first thing I would say is validation of emotions. I think almost every speaker and everyone who has spoken has mentioned that men are human beings and we all feel emotion. So we feel sad, we feel angry, any emotion that any woman would feel, a man would feel it. So the way to make a man vulnerable, to make them open up, is to validate it. Sometimes in society, in community, in family, through jovial means or through unintentional means, we invalidate how men feel. So in that case, we all begin to learn that, going to share this would only lead to you being joked at or laughed at. And it starts usually from senior high school. Sometimes when we work with adolescents or young adults, you notice that invalidation of emotions, where we even give names to people who may have opened up, we found them crying, we found them feeling sad, you call them weak and all of that, it leads to now stigmatizing certain emotions in men. And there's one thing I've always said in clinic, that a suppressed emotion is only delayed, yet magnified. And I think Dr. Dodo mentioned that no matter how much you suppress the emotion, it will come up in another way later on. So that's why you find men rather wanting to show aggressiveness, violence, or anger rather than show sad feelings or fear. And when that happens, you realize that, unfortunately, when you look at the mental disorders, when men attempt suicide, the success rate is really high because it's a lot of suppressed emotion. So to be able to make men vulnerable and open up, we must first start by validating emotions, both in our boys at home, in schools, and at workplaces. And I think Dr. Boama just mentioned that some people have paternity leaves, but would never take it, rather would prefer that the wife goes to stay with another relative for support, because we tend to believe that, these roles are more feminine. And that takes us into gender roles. Exigencies of every time or every period would have to lead to some change in behavior patterns. Of course, in the past, there may have been a need or a reason why women who have just delivered will go to the family and everything. But in the 21st century, where we are running nuclear family systems and technology and corporate world, we'll need to begin to relook at some of these things. And it's okay for a man to go into the labor room with the woman. It's okay for the man to go change the diapers of the child. It's okay for the man to go grocery shopping for the family. It's okay for the man to cook. some of these societal norms that have existed, of course, had their own purpose and values that they held. But with exigencies of time and changing periods of time, we need to have a second look at them. And in doing that, it now validates men as well to also be vulnerable and open up. And then I think it was one of the things that Obama is mentioning, help seeking. Being a therapist, I've seen so many men who have been referred to me to see, and they've dodged it for like, let's say 3-4 weeks. And then when it gets severe, it becomes physiological, and now they can't sleep at all and they need medication to fall asleep. They go for the first time, they are prescribed, and the second time they have to call and say, oh, I've been told to see you, but Charlie, I've been busy. And fortunately or unfortunately, when we have the sessions and they open up, realize that there are so many stresses that if you get some support, if you are given some guidance to build some coping mechanism, it helps men to also vent and take care of their mental health. And just like they say, if the head of the family, which happens to be the man, is not feeling well or is not in a state of mind to support himself or be vulnerable, then the whole family is at risk as well. So it's very important that we validate it. We change some of the social or cultural norms to suit the exigencies of the time, and also allow men to seek help and support them. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wangabi. That was very insightful. So my last question will be to Dr. Eugene before I open the floor for questions from our participants. So, Doc, would want to find out how best do you think our leaders, I mean, everything will start from the home, but how best can our leaders and other public figures and even our peers normalize open conversations about men's mental health?
Yeah, thank you very much. And this is a very important question that we are asking, and I think we deserve the answers as fathers, as parents, and all that. So one, as has been discussed extensively, there should be a paradigm shift on societal expectation and definition of masculinity. What do they mean when you say, a man should be masculine? Okay, there's this saying that when the calabash refuses to confess its cracks, it will spill at the drinker's lips. Okay, we are not stoic. And if we are not allowed to show our emotions, definitely it will show up somewhere with all forms of mental illnesses. And sometimes, has been expressed, we can be aggressive towards others or towards self, which is suicide. So men are 3 times more likely to die from a suicide than a female because we use very violent means. The next challenge we have, which again, we must have a paradigm. So let's all be real. Modern day fatherhood or parenting is a challenge, and we must begin to redefine what fatherhood is. We know very well that when we were young, fathers knew everything. But now that kids go on the net, they know more than fathers. So fathers should be able to come out clean and let children, let people know that, yes, I don't know it all. By God's grace, I homeschooled all my 3 kids. I taught them all the subjects of high school. But there are some things that I will tell them, I don't remember this one. I have to go and read before I can explain them to you. And they give me that space. So we should be candid with our kids. We don't know it all, okay? And if we have to show that, yes, I may have to learn something to be able to, face this challenge, why not? Let the kids understand and appreciate that, yes, I am a father, you think I'm great, but still, there are things I don't know, there are things I need to learn, and I make effort to learn them so that the kid does not grow thinking they are everything. The Gen Z now wants everything in a very fast-paced world, which is not realistic. So let's put them in the real world. Let us make them live in the real world. let's have workplace changes. I mean, we've mentioned paternity leave. This is something we don't do in Ghana, but it's very important we take paternity leave and stay with our partners. Yes, 1 in 10 people may get a clinical depression and they need to be treated. And it's very important these ones are identified and helped and managed like we manage a woman who has a depression. Let's have a workplace culture where, I mean, men can talk about their problems and share their problems and not to meet and drink and smoke. Now, the drinking and smoking will impair your physical health, will impair your mental health, will make you age faster, will make you lose money, will multiply and, I mean, quadruple your stress. So that is not the way to go. I mean, we say in med school that, I mean, you don't kill an ant with a sledgehammer. The alcohol, the drugs is a sledgehammer that you think you are using to solve that ant of a problem on your skin. If you use a sledgehammer on a TV screen, definitely you don't have any TV again. Let's, I mean, as fathers, let's not leave this to the women. Fathers should learn to bond. Let's have a deep sense of bonding with our children. I mean, I have tried to do that a lot, and I want to believe that my kids are bonding well with me. Like I said, even no matter how they grow, they'll still come back home. Because culturally, when fathers, for instance, go on pension, they are aged, we leave them to the weather, whilst the women are taken care of, you know. So, and this is not because probably the man does not have money or because the man did not take care of the kids. This is usually because the father did not bond with the children. So now that they are adults and they have left home, they only bond with their mothers. And that is why they kind of leave the father back home when they travel abroad and come for the mother that, oh, the mother is coming to help me take care of my kids. It's because they have that bonding with the mother. If fathers intentionally develop that bonding with their children, it will be there for them. And when we are older and the kids are also adults, we will still be able to maintain that bond and they will come home. The media has a lot to do about this. And when I talk about media, not just the traditional media and social media, but the film industry. How do we, show men? How do we showcase men as? If you showcase men as stoic, and if every blue man is, a male, then definitely we would expect growing up that, yes, every man should be that strong and that stoic. But that is not the truth. So let's stop portraying fatherhood or manhood as, having everything that there is. And let's begin to create realistic, challenges or realistic roles for men when they are also growing and have to go through any of these things. As we all grow older, Black men, for instance, are prone to hypertension and diabetes. So as we are all growing older, we are likely to have chronic conditions. Almost every chronic condition, hypertension or diabetes, can come with a depression or a mental health stressful situation. So once we are going through these health issues, they would affect our mental health. More importantly, hypertension, diabetes, obesity, and having a sedentary lifestyle, all of this, unfortunately, too, will cause, should I say, you to lose some erection. So erectile dysfunction is common in people with hypertension, diabetes, and obesity. Sometimes even the drugs we use to treat them can also cause the erectile dysfunction. But we are brought up to believe that you are only a man when you can have sex for a long time. So we even refer to the penis in a can that wobema. So that is your manhood, even in English as well. I mean, the penis is not your manhood. It's just one attribute of a man, not your manhood. So let's not refer to men as if when they can have good sex is when they are man enough. Sex is quite an insignificant part of who we are as men, and we should look beyond that. In concluding, I would say that yes, we can continue to play the role of leaders, show men, fathers to guide children and lead and all that. But we should remember that in all these things, I mean, the man is as human as the woman. The man is not made of different, chemicals or atoms or different elements in them. We have all these things. And we should be able to normalize some things which we do for women. For instance, when men are going through challenges and they have to go through counseling and all that, let's be there to provide them with that support. Let's be there to, and this I do very often. I share my emotions with my clients. Sometimes I tell them, yes, I went through this condition. I shed tears. Let men also lead other younger men that, yes, we have all been there before. We have all been broken before. In fact, there is nobody who has never failed in life before. Everybody will fail in life before. So yes, we should be able to say, yes, at this point, I failed in doing this. I couldn't do that. I thought I could have done that, but this one didn't work well. But today I am here. Yes. So showing your failures doesn't mean you are a failure. It actually means that, yes, you know what will fail. You are here to do the one that will succeed. So we should be there. I'm happy that we talk about the men going for the antenatal care, and there seem to be a lot more men now at the antenatal care. Hopefully, Ghana will get to the level where many of the men will be in the labor room. They will be with their wives when they are delivering, or with their partners when they are delivering. So we should be there. Let's run some campaigns to actively and intentionally build man beyond the traditional, sexuality and, traditional strength and physique. There is more to being a man. There's more to being a father than those physical things. And it's very important we continue this discussion. It's very important the media, portray the true state of who we are as men or as fathers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doc. You've highlighted very key points that I would like to stress on, that the man is as human as the woman. And showing your vulnerabilities and failures doesn't mean you are a weakling or a failure. Thank you so much, Doc. Any follow-up question or any question from the audience, please? And in recent times, I think that the men are doing well when it comes to attending antenatals with their wives. I see that a lot in the hospital. Even me, my husband went with me to all my antenatals. The few times he As we await questions from the audience, we'll take 3 questions from the audience because of time. I have a question to Dr. Eugene. So you made mention of the fact that men should have a deeper sense of, or should start to build a deeper sense of bonding with their children. And my question stems from, a conversation I had with someone today at my workplace. So how do men find balance? And this is just general question, not just to men, but also to the women. How do both partners find balance in the process of having or increasing their bonding time with their children, so as not to make the other partner feel affected? Because today I invited someone to this webinar, and the lady spoke about how her son and her husband became so, like, in the growing stages of her son, she felt like her husband neglected her. And I was wondering why that should be a problem, because if anything, that's a good thing. So I would want you to, if you can throw more light on how to find a balance in that case.
Yeah, thank you very much. And this definitely came up. When my kids were growing, my kids are all in college now. And so what we did was that it's probably the traditional old school stuff. So whilst I would show them or guide my kids with the academics, then my wife also makes sure that they are going by, the other things of life, like grooming, like cooking, like the chores. Making sure they are complete human beings. So, my son may even actually cook better than my daughters because, everybody has to cook. And mom is the best cook. So when it gets there, if it's time for you to go and cook, they all go to the kitchen and cook together. And at that time, mom is the one leading. When you are full, I come back and check your assignments that I gave you when I was going home. So we basically share the time. We basically share the activities children need to do with, each parent. And then we also discuss, sometimes we change roles because sometimes I would get them to go and maybe do the physical cleaning, and the mom will check their homework and mark their work. So, we do it together all the time so that, we are very conscious of the fact that they may bond to one parent more than the other. So we have to consciously do that to avoid, the kids seeing one parent as more loving than the other. So it is very doable, but we have to be intentional about that and make sure that, both parents have time with them, and parents also have time with themselves. There have been times where we have to sack our kids, and they say that, no, I am with my mother, or I am with my father. I said, no, I am with my wife, leave. No. So we have all those jokes and all that. They sometimes want to sack me to go to my father's house. Yeah. So it's something that parents have to be intentional about, and it's doable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have a hand raised from one of the participants, Irene. So I would give her the floor to ask her question. Irene, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Irene Kwashi, and I have a startup focused particularly on maternal mental health. So I saw this on Dr. Peter Finn, he's my classmate. I saw her status and I was like, absolutely have to join this. I really enjoyed the discussion. I want to say thank you so much to the conveners. I guess it's not as much a question as a point of contribution. So between Derek and I think it was Eugene's presentations, there was this very fun sort of banter around why, men, I think someone had said men don't need as much, attention / consideration. And then the other person had said, well, why not? And so for me, it raises the importance of communicating between the partners. In my work, I've come across women who will literally say to you, I was in the trenches and not one person asked me how I was. And so to hear sort of the other side of this conversation where the men also feel like, well, nobody asked me how I was. For me, the conversation then is, well, it means we are talking over each other's heads. The women, I know someone who said to me when I was kind of initially having my conversations, this was a nurse who knew she was depressed, was not working. And essentially for about 2 years, she basically did not talk to her husband. And this guy was bending over backwards trying to help her. But also, if you understand what depression looks like and feels like, then not that she's justified, but you can understand where she's coming from. So I wonder, what the room would have been for those two people to have gotten to a table and to say, hey, sure, I know you're having a hard time, but I also don't feel great being on the receiving end of this treatment. So I guess in 2 bullet points, one, I think this is a fantastic conversation. I absolutely look forward to having these continue. As we have them, maybe we should not be thinking of this as, why do the women have it and we can't have it? Maybe we should be having the conversation as, we're talking about each other's heads. How do we all get to the same table and say, okay, something is fundamentally wrong about our mental health as parents. How are we approaching this? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Irene. That is, I think you've brought out some vital information. Thank you so much. Amy, okay, wow, interesting. Okay, Nana Kwesi, the floor is open to you. Please, our men, we are expecting more questions from you. This is for you. So Nana Kwesi, please set the ball rolling for the men.
All right, thank you very much, and good evening to our wonderful panelists and everyone on the call. And a special thank you to Mr. Clive Ofosuhini for inviting me. I actually saw it on his status, and I said, no, let me jump on and learn. So I think it's been very insightful right from the very beginning up until now. Mine is not a question, but I must say that as men, we must be very intentional about the pregnancy of our partners, and also be involved right from the very beginning and be closer to them. I think that will give us a sense of how they feel so that we can support them in whichever way possible to ensure that they have a safe delivery. Thank you very much, and over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. There was a hand raised. Esrom, okay, she's no longer here. But please, any questions? Okay, Esrom, the floor is open.
Okay, thank you. I'm so glad to join this conversation. My concern was about bonding. To create manhood, it starts from childhood in terms of parenting leave, and from that kind of discussion that a doctor was explaining, from the angle of bonding, that how can we now make bonding, or which sense we can use, or in which manner can a bonding be established, especially to the children, regarding a child who is grown up to become a man, from a boy to a manhood. I think at the end I will ask a question, but I have some kind of contribution. The first is being pleasant. As a father, to be a role model of being pleasant, to be reachable. The children around the family, when they see father practically, how the father is behaving in the family, how the father is talking to the mother, how the father is operating as a role model, helping mother, listening to children, attending the needs of the children, then that boy who is growing, working with father, they are having time together, going somewhere as a family. So the child as a boy is growing, learning from the father. So if the father, they are very busy all the time, spending their time somewhere, or maybe working abroad, for the entire maybe more than 2 years. They are not together with the family. So this, of course, it is destroy the childhood of a baby, especially the boy, to cultivate manhood, fatherhood. So that is now my question also to share, if somebody will have time. What can we do now? Sometimes you find the system, we can blame the system, or what can we do now? Is there any need of a system, especially the government, to make sure it assists the family to live together? Because you find the mother is working somewhere, maybe father is working somewhere else. Is there a need of a government to intervene in this and make some of the family work somehow together to make the family operate in a good manner so as we can have a good nation? Thank you. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you
Yes,
very
thank
much.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much, Esrom, for that. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll take a last question and then we would wrap up.
Usua.
Yes, Dr. Henfo.
Yeah, so let me, because of the question, the question towards the end, Councillor TZ, that Esrom, actually was trying to ask a question. And
okay.
yes,
Sure.
and I think we should ask the panelists to see if they can address it. Which
sure.
Yeah, which is basically, are there any initiatives, policies, or programs that we can carry out that can help integrate fathers more fully into the maternal health journey? I think that's how I captured his question. If the panelists can address, one or two can address that. I mean, based on all the issues that have come up, based on some of the challenges fathers face, the issue about the importance of bonding, showing failures, and et cetera, that fathers are supposed to do. At a higher level, are there any initiatives, policies, or programs that you think as a state or as a society we can carry out, or we can initiate, that can integrate fathers more fully into the maternal health journey? Thank you.
So
Any of the panelists can take
any of the panelists can take it, please.
Okay, so if I may speak, I'm Dadoy, Eugene. So one of the ways, I mean, as a society or as a people, we can integrate this is the social occasions. So, for instance, I grew up in Kumasi in Ghana, where I didn't know how to swim. So I had to make an effort that my wife and I will learn swimming and we will teach our kids. So most of these things, we do them intentionally to make sure we bond. I grew up in Kumasi. My kids were born in Accra. We have gone to climb the Afajato during Easter, I think twice, where as a family and another family, so two families, at Easter, we all try to climb the Afajato and get some strength. We've had a family tour to go to Cape Coast and look at the castles, and then we talk about how, as a people, there was slavery. I explain and tell them where we are. So, I mean, families should make time for special occasions. And of course, you take pictures. With time, I bring some of these pictures up on our WhatsApp family page. And my kids will ask me, why do you keep this picture all this while? You know, it's because they can now remember everything that happened at that time. So it's very important. We may have just like 2 holidays, which is the Friday and Easter Monday, but that weekend, that 5 days, if the family plans to go out, you can go to the Kintampo Falls, you can go to Bleak Falls, you can go to Boti. I mean, plan something that the family will have to do together, which is not at home. I have also joined Joy FM Family in a Park. Yes, and then there were some times being a doctor, I had to go for a medical outreach. And when I'm going for any such programs, everybody has to be part of that. So we all go. So I engage every them. And of course, this is a church thing, so it makes them to also share my faith with my family, and they are supposed to ask me questions and all that. Sometimes when we go out, because I was homeschooling them, when we go out like that, they have to come and write an essay about the experiences and the lessons. So one, it will make them take notes when they are out there. They're having fun, but they know they will come and describe it. It will help them to learn communication, imagination, and then you also improve on their literacy. So, but like I said, families will have to plan for these things. There are times we have to go and rent a vehicle just for that, short vacation. No matter how short they are, the kids make very wonderful memories. And I'm very sure it is these wonderful memories that kind of like keep them coming back, because they think I always have something up my sleeves again. So they will come and ask, this year, what are we doing? Are we, so with that, the families can bond. So personality to it, and we don't create the space and the time. We will be so busy that we will think it can never happen, So let's create time, let's use occasions and pick calls. Even though I'm a doctor, I mean, there are times which is for the family, so nobody's intentional.
Thank you very
Right.
much.
So this is Dr. Usubempa. I think Eugene has dealt extensively with the bonding issue, and concerning higher level in terms of policy, we cannot overemphasize how implementation of paternity leave will help with a lot of the struggles that we spoke about.
It's the
Other
same with
struggles. Oh,
the
sorry.
family calls, because when I am with them and you call, I might not answer your call.
Hello, Dr. Eugene. It seems like your line is breaking. So can you hear me, Dr. Eugene? Okay,
Yes.
so
Sorry, I can hear you. I don't know why my line went off. So
okay.
I don't know when I went off.
I think you went off at the point when you mentioned that there are certain calls you don't pick, it's family time, like something with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was saying that we should learn to set boundaries. Okay, so like when I'm at work, my kids know they are only supposed to make emergency calls. Otherwise, nobody calls me out. Or once you call and say that I'm at work, no problem. The same way, when I'm home and I said no calls, I actually mean no calls. I must admit, if you are like a young I mean, a young professional, you cannot have that luxury that you won't take calls from this time to time. But of course, you will grow. So there will be time that you can let other people pick those calls and you don't have to pick all the calls. But the important thing is that when you set these boundaries, your family and other people respect those boundaries, and that keeps your sanity. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Bempa, please, you can
Yes,
take over now.
yes. So the other points I wanted to add in tackling some of the challenges or struggles, and because I found out fathers are so much having issues of lack of information. So I think if institutions can start having fathers involved in antenatal classes, I mean, that will help a lot because it will encourage them to build their confidence as caregivers and also how they can tackle some of these challenges. Because you'll be surprised at times complications occur in women and fathers rather will be chastising their wives that they are probably being lazy of some sort. So if they have enough information through antenatal classes, I think it will also be helpful. And then another thing will be also encourage the fathers to get involved in self-care. So exercises, eating well, and having good rest will also help to prevent a lot of these mental health issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's been very insightful submissions, and I'm sure the participants, I personally have learned a lot. I'm sure my other moderator and also the participants have also learned a lot. Unfortunately, it's about that time where we have to bring a close to this discussion as much as we want to continue. But before that, I would like each of my some of the panelist speakers have, excused themselves. So I would like Dr. Doye, Dr. Bempa, Dr. Boamwa, and Mr. Clive Fusuhene to give their final words, 1 minute, final word. Yes, and then we'll call it a close. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So I think it's been very insightful, and what I would say is, based on all that we've discussed and we've shared, I believe it is high time men take their mental health very seriously, and we should be able to voice out and be able to also discuss our vulnerabilities, which I believe is one of the pain point of African men where we don't talk about our vulnerabilities. So I believe with that, we should also try as much as possible to have that time with our families and actively participate in our family decisions in order. So thank you so much. And I believe this has been a very wonderful session for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fusuhene.
Yeah, thank you. This is Dr. Boama. So it's been a very great evening, insights from very distinguished speakers and the audience as well. I think for me, my closing this will be that we should look out for each other. We should look out for the men, the parents. And I mean, for me, my take home will be really that as I sit also in my consulting room and the mothers come, and quite a number come with the men. So it would be a good idea to ask about their mental health challenges as well, and not to just also brush their mental health issues aside. And then we should look out for our friends at work, at church, especially young fathers and parents, and encourage them. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right. So this is Dr. Usubempa, and I must say we should thank the conveners. I think they've done a very marvelous job, and I was happy to see a lot of ladies, women involved in trying to optimize men's mental health, and I think that's a very good one. So what I want to end on is that a lot of these mental health issues that men suffer definitely result from maladaptation to the struggles and challenges that they face. So men should be able to recognize, or their partners or family should be able to recognize these difficulties or challenges early so that they will be able to adapt and find means of coping with them. And I end by what Derek said, that he's now a new person after the birth of the daughter. And I think that should be the way or the mindset of all men, that once your partner goes through pregnancy, delivery, and parenting, because you are part of it, it should be a shared responsibility, and the old ways of doing things on your own terms should change so that it will lead to a very healthy family. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Doye, your final word.
Dodoy.
Dodoy, thank you for the
Yeah.
correction.
So I think that it's important, all of us, whether male or female, recognize that the emotions of men are valid. And when we meet them, we meet men who are emotional. Let's validate and normalize their feelings, that they are only being human, and assure them that we are there to share in their well-being. So no judging any man. We should open the space for men to share. And of course, our systems must be such that antenatal care is friendly for the man to be part. I could only be in the labor ward because I was a doctor, or I'm a doctor. Yeah, and we should have these father-friendly clinics and start a national campaign with this to validate and normalize emotions of men. Because for a home where there are two pillars, that home cannot be easily shaken. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much. Once again, I would like to thank all our panelist speakers and our guest speaker and everyone on this platform for making it a point to be a part of this wonderful discussion. And a very big thank you also to the conveners, APEC Ghana and Modern Man Club for this. We really, really appreciate it. So to our participants and to everyone else, including myself, it's time for us to, even if the awareness is already there, it's time for us to also up our game and further strengthen the awareness in our own small ways, on our social media platforms, in our workplaces, first and foremost from our homes, because I'm sure most of us here are fathers, are mothers, or are yet to be. And I believe that through that, we would create more awareness. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.